You know, I've always wanted a game where I can design my own tanks. Since you guys are here for tank content, I assume most of you feel the same way. There are some games that kinda come close, but none that really specialize in tanks. At least that was until Sprocket. If you've been living under a rock, you might be wondering what Sprocket is. Well, to put it simply, it's a game about designing and testing tanks, whether in a sandbox or in actual combat. Around a week ago, it went into early access, and I've been playing it a lot ever since. To the point it's a bit detrimental actually. If you want to recreate tanks that actually existed, you can do that. You can also try to modify and improve their designs. If none of that sounds appealing, you can create something entirely new. There are a lot of possibilities, even if the game is a bit bare bones right now. Don't fault the developer though, it's only one guy, and he works extremely hard. I don't like saying X game is like Y game with Z, because it's a bit lazy and insulting, but if you enjoy Kerbal Space Program, you will certainly like Sprocket. The learning curve is far steeper in KSP, it's more of a learning cliff, though in Sprocket some things can be a bit confusing at first. Basically, just mess around with sliders until you find out what they do. As far as the size of the vehicle and its components, you get far more control. With KSP, you basically put Lego pieces together until it works, unless you install a mod like TweakScale. With Sprocket, that stuff is baked in from the beginning. For both the hull and turret, you can easily adjust the size and shape. All you have to do is click and drag. The designer is pretty complex all things considered. I thought all the parts would be pre-made, but it's a lot more in depth than that. The size and shape of your tank affects how much internal volume you have. That in turn affects all the other components. You can have a monster engine with over 1000 horsepower, but you might not have room for everything else. The same goes for the turret. Large cannons obviously need large turrets, but you need to consider stats like traverse speed and reload time too. If you don't have enough space for your loader, he's going to struggle. To set down crew positions, all you have to do is place down hatches. As far as the engine and transmission, they're very customizable too. On the engine side of things, you can change displacement, number of cylinders, max RPM, min RPM, and idle RPM. For the transmission, you can change the individual gear ratios, which you'll likely need to do often. If you exceed max RPM, your engine won't last very long. Yes, there are malfunctions. Just like with the crew and hatches, you place the engine by placing down vents. Right now, the game has a lot of scenarios you can play. They go from World War I to World War II. Each scenario is different, so it requires that you do one of two things. Either make a new tank, or modify an existing one. If you want a challenge though, you can try to beat all of them with one design. The scenarios don't take too long to complete, but more are on the way. The dev wants to add 2 new ones per quarter. Even then, just designing tanks in the sandbox is enough fun for me. As previously mentioned, the game focuses on the World Wars, but after the game is done, the dev might expand the timeline. Planned mechanics include a shell designer, custom battles, multiplayer, and hydropneumatic suspension. Some things like cast armor, quad tracks, oscillating turrets, and autoloaders aren't in right now, but will be in the future. Regardless, you can still make some very interesting tanks as it stands. You can buy it on Steam for 20 bucks, which I think is a good deal. I'll have a link in the description and comments. I'm very happy this game exists, and I'll be making a lot of content with it in the future. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.